Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Deborah Augustine. This is Call for Wisdom. And if you're here right now, you know what we're talking about. It's about Hebrew Women 101, Part 3. Continuing my conversations with my sisters, feel free, brothers, to sneak in. But this is pertaining to the sisters in the faith who understand the Hebrew language a little bit. Like babies, we're growing. And like an elder sister, I want to give birth to you, my sisters. I want Christ to be born and birthed through you so that you bear fruits and you are fruitful in your life. And I'm saying all these things and discussing all these things with you because I love you. And you need to be instructed by older sisters who love Yah and want the best for you. This is not to criticize you. This is not to put you down or mock you. This is to uplift you and edify you. And so I'm going to continue this series. And for some of you, if you went through the last one, we talked about submission. Submission. I know, it's a trigger word. I gave you some time, though, to kind of recover from that, to kind of swallow the medicine, a little bit of humor to make it go down, but some of you are still got some acid reflux from that word submission. I know. And here I go with more. 3 more. So last time we talked about shelters, shepherds, and submission. This time, part 3, introduction. These are introduction topics. We're going to talk about men, marriage, and mutiny. Men, marriage, mutiny. Okay? So, welcome to Hebrew 101 for women. And if you don't understand what I mean, a lot of it is because it's in allegory. I'm going to tell you stories, and hopefully the Ruach, the Spirit, will give you some insight into that. So I'm a counselor, and I encounter a lot of women stories, and I have my own stories. And through the years, you can resonate with these stories, women. So one of them was really heart-wrenching. There's this beautiful woman that came to me for counsel, and she was in her 30s, 31 actually. Beautiful, beautiful black sister. She actually had a good father and she had a good home and she was raised well. She had her first boyfriend at 17 and she stayed with him until college, which was around 20. And in the middle of her college years, she dumped him. She left the relationship. Now, they never had sex, but they were boyfriend and girlfriend in a cute little way. And she enjoyed her college years with him. And when she graduated, she became a lawyer. She set the bar, and she was a very smart lady. And she got another boyfriend soon after because she was in her prime time. She was in those years I like to call cream of the crop. Remember when we described that in our first part? The years of 25 to 35. So she was in that age group still when she got her second boyfriend. And for that one, she fell in love deeply as well. But because she's older and we have biological needs to be with a man, not just for kids. I'm talking to grown women here. You know, we like sex. Sex is good. So, of course, it eventually became to that with her boyfriend. And they had a great intimate life together for a while. And a matter of fact, they moved in together. She moved in with him. And they were together for a good 8 years. So that was like from the time she was 21, to 29. And it was she said, a good relationship in the sense that he loved her, he treated her well, and he gave her a lot of attention. And she was entering her career, and he was only 4 years older than her, 5 years, I think, older than her. So he had a little bit more of an advantage in that regard. So he was doing his thing. He was also an educated man, an engineer, studying, and then now working in the field. So both of them are doing that, and she's living together with him, and they're happy. But during the end of their relationship, so like 2 years before the relationship ended, which it didn't just end, by the way. Okay, continuing the stories. 2 years after, before it ended, he met a younger version of her. That's the short story. He met a younger version of her, also in her 20s, early 20s. And he befriended this young lady, and at that point, he was already in his 30s. He was like 35. He befriended her, and he fell in love with a second woman. He was texting her. I think she saw his phone, and women, we know when our partners, our lovers, our husbands have somebody else in mind as well. And so she suspected, she investigated, and she found out it was true. It's true. He found somebody else. And so during that course of the time, she got naturally upset. And I get her, because this is what we are pre programmed to respond to. The man has another interest in another woman. We sisters automatically get very jealous, extremely mad, feel betrayed. We have all these dirty words for the woman. We call her a whore. We call her a home stealer, a home wrecker, a boyfriend wrecker. You just hate the person, right? And then on top of that, you're very disappointed in this man that you're sleeping with, because in the bed he loves you. You feel the love. You sense the love. And then outside of the bedroom, he loves you. You guys get along together. They had actually no disputes. They were a good couple, she said. The only thing that she was shocked about was the fact that he had interest in another woman. And this is a young man, right? Young man. So, of course, she tells her friends. Her friends back her up. What are you doing with this man? What are you doing with him? He has another woman down the road. Why are you doing with them? Kick him out. She tells her mother. She tells her family, kick him out. And that's what she did. Eventually, she thought that she just had the right, and he was demeaning her by being in another relationship, although he didn't say so, but she thought that it looked bad on her, that she would tolerate another woman in their lives. And he actually confessed that he loved this girl, this younger second woman. He loved her. And so because he loved her, he didn't want to get rid of either one of them. He didn't want out. He loved her. But my sisters, what happened is what happens to so many others. You hear this probably happened to you. She had a good sit down, she did her due, she yelled, she left because she was living with him. So she packed her bags and she left, went back somewhere, I can't remember exactly where she lived, but she left the relationship and she moved on in her life. And now she's coming to me in her 30s. 6 years later, she never met another man, because she was a virgin when she met him, and he was the love of her life. She didn't sleep around. He was it. Yeah. Now she's telling me that she's really feeling tempted. She wants to have another shepherd. And I say shepherd, remember what we talked about, right? But she wants another man. And she's looking, but she's older. She's also put on some weight. I remember how she looked so really beautiful. She was athletic going to college. She's tall and beautiful. And but now she's a little bit bigger, right? We'd say around 20 pounds bigger. And she's feeling depressed about that. It's harder to find somebody at this age. And we can all admit to that truth. We are not our 20-year-old selves, right? I'm talking about the cream of the crop women and the women that are the sweet wine. We're not the same as the first fruits over there, the 18 to 25-year-olds. We're not. So she's lonely and she's looking, right? But she's continuing her career. She got her job. She's getting promoted. And in a lot of aspects of her life, she's very happy, And I'm not having these discussions with any of these women to talk about severe depression or anxiety. It's not about that. It's about looking to the future. When they come to me, and when I talk to you, sisters, who are in your mid-30s, and you're looking towards your future 20 years from now, 30, 40, 50, like my age and on, you're wondering, well, I want more. You're not satisfied in the sense that potentially you can have kids still, and You could have somebody who would cuddle up with you at night, and somebody will help you in case something goes wrong at work, and maybe you had a sick leave or an accident. You have somebody to call for the hospital to, next of kin. You have a backup in case you can't work. And when you have a child, if you have a child, it's better to raise the child with a male figure. Okay, there's so many reasons why men are cool. Men are good. I like men. Men, thank God for Adam. Amen. Really, really, really. We know we need them, right? I don't need to convince you. And plus, some of them are really nice to snuggle up with, right? So, when we go through these things and we hear these stories, I want you to take a seat back and put on your glasses, my sisters. Look through the scriptures, my sisters, and tell me, judge, was she right? Was she right to end this relationship and walk out of it? Was she right? Men, marriage, mutiny. So she found a good man. And what is the definition of marriage? Point 2. What is the definition of marriage? She found a good man. In this example I gave you, it's a real story. She had no kids, by the way, no kids. So that was a good plus. They didn't get pregnant. But she found a good man, and she lived with him for 7 years. Was she married? What does the scripture say qualifies as married? That's the question I would love you to go into. And when we go into our next course, we're going to dig into all these topics. This is Hebrew 101 for women. So we're just introducing all of these topics so that we can open the Bible together, open the scriptures together, write it down, study it. I just want to stir your curiosity into the Hebrew culture so that you will feel just inspired and liberated. I mean, feminism talks about liberation. They have no clue. No clue. When they look at me, they think, oh, Deborah, they feel sorry for me. You're suppressed. Actually, I'm more liberated than you guys. In the scriptures and in the kingdom of the Most High, being a woman is an awesome thing. Following the instructions of the Most High, the guidelines of the Most High, is actually quite liberating, quite joyous. Like David said, he loves them. I love his laws. I love his instructions. They are not burdensome. Like David said, they're not at all. They're actually freeing. Guess what is burdensome, though? Guess what is not what I can handle? A burden on all of our backs. And that's the doctrines and the teachings of men. The Pharisees, the scribes who mix the scriptures, and the Pharisees who put this extra loads on our back. And then, sorry if you're Catholics, but I gotta say, the Catholicism that added to it all their doctrines and came into the church. And then I got taught it too. And then it became such a tradition that we never challenged it. We never challenged it. Who told you in the Bible, where is the scripture that says, thou must go down to the government court, sign a piece of paper, agree to sign a contract, a 3-way contract with the government's biggest letters on top. So the government is like the top of the pyramid, you and your husband on the bottom. So really, it's like, a 3-way marriage here, Trinity. What are they doing involved in marriage? What are they doing? It does not take a piece of paper to be married according to scriptures. It takes a man called a shepherd finding a sheep over there, looking at the sheep saying, oh, nice sheep, pretty spotless actually. And it doesn't belong to anybody. That's the key. Nobody else's sheep. That's adultery. That's called adultery. This sheep is free up, man. This sheep is wandering around. This sheep is actually pretty healthy. And sometimes the sheep is actually hidden, which is even better. So you fresh fruits, you are the sheep, woman, sheep, yeah, hidden within the shelter of your father, of your household. Whoever is the head of your household, your father, your uncle, your brother, whoever is sheltering you is there. And then if he is a traditional biblical man, he would go knocking on the door of the fresh fruit group of women, 18 to 25, and go, hello, sir, brother so-and-so, I respect you so much. I respect you so much that I will not touch what belongs to you over there. But I see you got a great, precious, hot-looking, sheep over there who's of marriageable age, and she's not, like, how much do you want for her? I know. I'm really, really, really making triggers here. I am pissing off the feminists. How much do you want for her? Dowry, dowry. Gotta ask for it, Back then. And I think, why not? These days, why not? Virginity is so rare. So, knock, 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 knock. Ask permission to date. We'll talk about that later, about the dating thing. But ask permission to have this hand in marriage of this precious, protected jewel of a sheep. I mean, it's so precious because it's protected. It's not getting blows, because it's not hanging around outside. It's inside. So its skin is shiny. It's very much innocent. It's not been tampered to. And it's protected by some guards of good men. So that's one way that a shepherd can find a sheep, is to find it hidden, especially the quality ones, hidden within the protection of a good man. So that's a tip for you brothers who are still listening to this talk. If you want to find a good sheep, a good woman, a good Hebrew woman, I suggest you check out the guys. Go knock on the doors. Ask the uncles, the older men. Ask them, have you seen lately any potential in your family? Any potential in your sphere that you are protecting here in your household of women? And they might surprise you. They might say, you know what? I have a second cousin down the road that is single. Yeah, and she's beautiful actually. She's very shy. She doesn't go out. But would you like me to introduce you to her? I can do that. We'll get involved in this arrangement. Arranged marriages was a good thing, girls. It was a really good thing for the young ones. Because I trusted the skills of evaluating a man from another man much better than I trusted from myself. They see the red flags faster than me. They can see it because they're men. So they can see the character of another man a lot quicker than I could see it. And they can spare me all the hassle of having to be tempted to sleep with him, be tempted to be abused by him, and just be pet and left. So we're talking about, what is it, biblical marriage, and how does that go along? So that's one way. So if you are of that age and you have the blessing and the very much circumstances in life that the Most High has set you where you are hidden in the shelter, then congratulations. That's one way to find it. You have a shelter, you're covered. But for the rest, who are outside, wandering the fields, like I said, eating good grass, some of you not. Some of you are taking care of yourself as best you can and doing the best you can. Here comes a shepherd, though. A man who's looking for a wife. And he finds you. And he likes you. And he comes and visits 1 or 2 times and he checks you out. He sees that you qualify. Then you women, we women, we women, we decide to give him a chance. But before we do that, there's some qualifications for the shepherd coming knocking on the door for marriage. And we will talk about that deeper in course number 2. But like I said, last video, we are talking about a man on a mission because I can't submit to any man with no mission. So one of the key qualifications for the shepherd coming to look for the sheep is that he has a mission, and I can see myself in his mission. I can imagine in my fantasy world, I can see where I fit in there. I can see how I can improve myself, grow as a woman, but also improve his life. I can see where kids can come out of that. I can see where empires can be built by that. I can see where I can grow old together. I can see it because he has a very clear-cut mission and he's passionate about it and he sold me on it. Yeah. So, if he has a mission and you fell in love with him and will have other qualifications, next time we go deeper into that. So, all he has to do according to the scriptures is invite you into the fold, into his fold. His fold means his shelter. Yeah? So you move in with him. And I think that's another topic we need to talk about, like who moves in with whom, right? But you come into his frame. So I have a picture behind me, and it has a frame. Well, not really, but let's pretend it does, right? You can see me standing in the frame. So women, you guys are out here, we are out here, and the shepherd brings us into his picture, his frame. The shepherd brings us into his flock. And when you are in his frame and his flock, you're no longer in yours. You're no longer outside. You're in his frame. You're in his space, right? Let's switch this analogy totally over to one of shipping, okay? Let's say marriage is like trying to hop on a boat. Marriage is the boat. So that is the system here. And we women, beautiful women, are on the shore, and the boats are the men who have captained their boats for many years. Some of them have yachts. Some of them have smaller yachts. Some of them have beautiful boats. Some of them have room for only one passenger. Some of them are rich enough that they have room for 3 or 4 passengers. Crew members, I like to call them, right? So these captains here are doing great. Some of them are not. So we here on the women side, sheep, women, changing the analogy, are looking on the shores and looking at the boat show. Because we're no longer in the shelter, right? We're not the younger ones. We're the older ones, older 25 to 30 and above, right? We are kind of independent in that sense. There's nobody sheltering us, so we have to use the ruach and ask for guidance. So we're looking for qualifications for captains because we would like to get on the boat. Why? Because we want to get to another destination. So what happens is that the captain comes and he goes and he's standing on the shore saying, "All aboard! All aboard!" When a couple women come by who kind of, like him from a distance, they come by to check him out closer. He got a beard, looks decent, he looks strong. He looks like he's in charge. He's in charge of that boat. He knows how to do little things. He's a handyman. He looks like the guy that won't panic when there's a storm outside. Now, we're going to have to ask around about that, so you got to ask the crew on his boat already. That's why it's always nice to have somebody to ask. Like, if he already has crew members, that makes the job so much easier because you're not the first one hopping his boat. Somebody else has already tested it. But the key question here comes back to mission. He has to have a destination. He has to have a purpose of being on the sea. As a captain, why have a boat, right? Why have a big boat if you don't have a mission? He has to have a mission. So one of the questions is, what are you up to? What's your mission? Where are you going? Where are you going in life? Where do you want to go? And he sells you on that. He says, well, I'm going such and such place. I feel like sailing the world. I feel like going all the way to the North Pole. I have all the stocks for that, and I think I'll stop on the way and get some more. By the way, I'd love to have 10 more kids on this boat. I got enough space in the crew for that. But that's eventually, and I got the skills to build up to that. And he sells you on this great mission that he has. We will talk about this later. Introduction course. Don't get excited, ladies. There's lots to study when we're talking about the Hebrew culture. Lots of great stuff. So, he tells you about his mission. Awesome. He looks good. Awesome. You feel sexually attracted. Awesome. He has a great relationship with the Most High. Key. He knows what he's about when it comes to the Most High and the order of headship. He is the captain of his boat. Okay. He knows how to be a captain. He knows who's in charge. So he checks you out now. He's going to be the one deciding. Actually, you can't pay your way onto these boats, ladies. If you're paying your way onto a boat with a man, you're hiring a taxi. And most of you out there are hiring taxis. Like your marriage situation is a taxi situation. You are telling the man where you want to go. I want to go to New York. I want to go to Dubai. I want to go to Paris, and I want to go to London. If you don't take me there, then I'm going to hop off the boat because I am paying my way and I'm in charge. Because I got my degrees and I got my money. Here you go, sir. And if you're a foolish man who doesn't understand women, you're going to buy that nonsense. And you're going to turn your nice boat into a taxi ferry. A ferry. What a shame. But I'll leave that to the brothers to explain to you if you ain't got that one. Because I'm talking to the sisters here. Sisters who want to get married. Marriage does not require a certificate. It does require a clear intention, destination, and mission before you hop on anybody's boat, right? If the man doesn't have a clear intention and destination, you are not married to the man. He is just outside, going back, and just visiting you on the shore. He's like, hey, what's up, girl? Let me take you over there to a restaurant and on shore. Hey, you're not on the boat yet. Have some, good times with you, play around with you, have some great lustful interactions. Sex. Blow you over with that. And then after that, leave you on the shore and hop back on his boat and sail away. It's sad, isn't it? It really is. I know, sis. I know. And unfortunately, that is how the majority of us have been sailing this world for many, many years. And we're getting older. We're not sailing. We're still on the shore, hoping to be picked. Hoping. Right? Marriage requires a man to come and choose you. Now, why would a captain, a good captain, want to choose you? That's the question, women. Like, why? Why bother? What do you got to offer a captain? What do you have to offer a captain when he stands on the shore and takes a good look at you quickly? And he's the buyer. He's the one who's going to hire, not you. He's in charge, right? So here you are dressing decent, modest, hopefully. Looking very attractive. Because the first thing he sees is your outside appearance. Outside appearance. And don't call him shallow. He's a man. He sees your outside appearance. All men do, right? So if you're overweight, my sisters, if you're overweight, how do you expect a man to really, 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 really pick you number one when there's 5 other women competing for the same boat? If he's a good captain, has his stuff together, as a strong man, in the right age group, I'm talking 35 and up, because he's already by that time built a strong boat, he's coming to look for the best crew member he can get on the boat. Now, if it's his very first one, he's going to pick really, really good, hopefully. And we'll talk about that too. But maybe if you're not this first crew member, he might slacken some things off, right? But the first one, he really wants to pick really wisely. So here we go with that. And he's looking at you and you are obese. You are obese. And I made fun of it the last time. I'm not going to apologize. But if I hurt your feelings, get on the treadmill. Make that a motivation, right? Talking to myself too. 20 pounds goal. Yeah, Deborah, you can do it. Next year, same time. But really, we can do it. We just have to be motivated. So here I am trying to motivate you, sisters. Get it fit. Get fit. Get the best version of yourself as you possibly can. Be disciplined. Self-discipline is part of the Spirit's ruach, fruit of the Spirit. Discipline, right? And so when we decide that we want to be one of those people that he chooses, the woman out of the lineup of women, and reality check here, good boats, lineup of women. He has his choice of women. Let's not fool ourselves. A good man, a strong man with a job, with a mission, has the potential to lead, has his pick of women. How do you stand out? You checked him out. You were in the line too. You think that the more girls or ladies that are in the line, obviously they see the same thing you do. The more attractive this captain is, the longer the lineup. If you want to know if a captain is a good captain, check out the line. Because the one over there with the one sheep, the one lady who is, not so great, a little bit ratchet looking, got a lot of things going wrong with her. She's the only one in the lineup trying to hang up to this guy's boat. Yeah, and she's a little bit older too. But he hasn't got anybody else because nobody else actually is that desperate to go with him. And there's a lot of men as well who they got little rowboats. Row your boat gently down the stream. And there's no room, brothers. There's no room for a crewmate on a fishing boat. You're still fishing. You're still fishing. You don't have room. Come on. I live in the Caribbean. I see the fishing boats. They could fit one guy and sometimes two guys on the boat, but not a woman. We come with baggage. We come with clothes. We come with stuff. We need a shelter. There might be a storm. Good luck with that. No woman wants a little fishing boat. So if you're young, 25, and just growing into your 30s, young man, you got to build up to having a proper boat, a yacht preferably, with some cabins. If you want more than one wife, you need a couple cabins. But if you only plan to have one wife, still make some room just in case. We'll talk about that next. Here we go, Deborah. Men, marriage, mutiny. All right, so according to this story here, women, you want to get picked by the captain. What do you have to offer the captain? Why would he choose you to hop his boat? Well, first priority is that you know how to submit to his mission, where he's going. He tells you he is heading north. He's going to the North Pole. And you're saying you want to go south. He'll say, next. No. Sis, move away. Move away from the line. Just go to another line. Don't even bother going the back. Because I don't want you. You're heading the wrong direction. So the second woman comes along and he says the same thing. She asks, okay, where are you going? I look beautiful. I'm young. I'm fit. I'm feminine. And he says, well, I'm heading north. Hey, sis, I'm heading north. And she goes, well, can we make a pit stop to Florida? Because I want to go to the beach first and get a suntan and, pick up some more luggage because I don't have enough clothes. And he's like, no, I am going to north. I'm going north. You coming or you're not? And she's like, she makes all kinds of excuses and she's troublesome about that. She thinks that she can negotiate him and make him change his mind. Well, he's a good captain. He's not going to change his mind. He is heading this direction, sis. So he tells her, go along. Move along. Now, you being the third woman down the line, you realize that submitting to his mission is the key to get on that boat. One of the keys, right? But the main one. So you come, you're fit, you're feminine, and you decide to give in. You are on mission because actually you like the cold. Yeah. Well, I was joking about Frosty, but yeah, he's not Frosty. He's warm. He has heating inside. We can go north. He has heating, right? So, okay. You say, yeah, no problem. I actually love winter. I love winter. I will hop on board with you. You got a warm cabin. Actually, and I also know how to cook. I also know how to cut wood. I also know how to clean. I know how to my father taught me all these things. I know how to clean the deck. I know how to compromise with you if you're feeling a little bit sick today and you need to lie down. I will take care of you. And in the same time, I actually know how to sail too. I do know how to sail, but I don't want to sail. But if the storm comes and you're sick and you really can't sail at that point, I'll sail. And if you have to stay up all night because somebody has to stay up all night in these yachts, sometimes you can't sleep. Well, I will do it. I can do it. I know how to follow directions. No problem. This man is going to say, hop on board, sis. Hop on board. Now we come to the next part. The next part is that considered a marriage? And I say yes. In biblical terms, he found a wife and he took her into his fold, into his ship. He is the leadership. The leadership. He's the main ship. We come on and we follow him. Hmm? He's leading. We follow him. He has an awesome ship. We hop on. And that's all it takes. Our commitment to stay loyal to him is the key. And if you ask your girlfriends, sisters, if you ask your girlfriends, if the men that they watch out on really love them, the majority of them will tell you, yes, he loved me. But he cheated. He had eyes for somebody else. That's what the majority of the excuses are. Just like the first example that I gave you in the story about the young lady. She came on board. She lived with a very good man. He was her husband, but nobody told her that, right? Because she thought in her head that she had to hop over to a court and sign some papers. But she didn't actually, because she had already left the house, so she was outside of somebody else's shelter. She was independent in that sense. There was nobody else to sign for her. There's nothing to do in the Torah other than you agreeing to go on board with another man, living with him, leaving the field, leaving outside world, and leaving your world and coming into his frame, leaving your land and coming into his boat. And as long as you decide to do that, you are now submitting to his mission and submitting to his frame. And he is sheltering you. He has created that. And it's built into men. The majority of men are good men. And they know that they are born to protect, to provide, and to shelter women. And they love doing it. They actually love being shelters. This is their pride and joy. So, this is nothing complicated about it. Hebrew 101 is pretty simple. But the world makes it bloody complicated. It makes marriage so complicated. It tells you, sis, you got to go and get a ring. He has to get on his knees. He has to submit himself to you because he's on his knees begging you. For what? To get into your frame? This is so backwards. Backwards. This is not the way it is in our Hebrew culture. Kingdom culture, not like that whatsoever. You do not need a ring. You do not need an engagement, sis. You don't need a marriage ceremony at all. That's another thing. Marriage ceremonies were made from the Catholic churches, right? They made that to control the whole institution of marriage, to be a monogamy only system. We will talk about that again when we dig into this whole topic in depth later. The origination of a ceremony and a certificate and why it was invented and how complicated that has become, what a burden that has become, because a lot of you sisters said no to good men because he couldn't afford to give you a great wedding. You postponed the wedding so long, like years and years and years, because you thought, I deserve a big wedding. I want 500 people. Well, okay, I'll exaggerate. I like exaggerating sometimes to get the point. Be it 50, be it 100 guests, that is expensive. You're talking about like $5,000 US dollars on average to $10,000 US dollars for a small wedding. What are we doing? You don't even need it. Like if you can afford to throw a big feast, great. Because the Bible talks about feasts, celebrating, but not the ceremony. You can have a feast, but you don't have to have a feast. It's not a prerequisite for marriage. When Isaac found Rebekah, he didn't do that. When Ruth found Boaz, there was no ceremony, right? They took them in. We'll go into this whole marriage deeper. I don't want to keep you too long. But moving forward, right? You don't need a ceremony. You don't need a ring. You don't even need the celebration, the party, to hop on the boat, to get put into the shepherd's flock. But you do need the commitment, a clear intention from the shepherd that this is what he intends to do. So that's between you and him. Make it very clear what the intentions are. Do not fool yourself. Imaginary in your mind. Make it very clear. Between the two of you, this is what your intentions are. And it is for life. It's a commitment for life that you are making, right? With him. You are agreeing to enter into his boat, and he's agreeing to shelter you, to keep you on board. Now, the caveat in that is that you stay under the shelter. And you stay on the boat, sis. You stay on the boat. Because if you get out of the shelter, don't tell me he kicked you out. Majority of us did not get kicked out of the shelter. The majority of us, we put ourselves out of the shelter. And now we're crying because we're singing in the rain, but we're crying, but it was our choice because we committed mutiny. Mutiny, the last M here we're going to talk about. So we got married, didn't know we were, but you should actually know you are because you had that conversation, but fine. You got married, you found a good man, you got married, and now he's going north. He told you he's going north. But you started bickering about it. It's getting cold. The storms are coming. The storms of life are coming. It's not as easy as you thought. Not always smooth sailing. The weather is unpredictable. Things are not going so smoothly. To make it worse, maybe you had 1 or 2 children. And then there's a lot more stress, a lot more adjustment because you got to make room on the ship. You got to find a place, you got to settle them in. Life. It's called life. We will talk about that later too. But here comes the pivotal part, the key moment in all our relationships that right now modern society is suffering the most from. It is the idea that all of a sudden, midway to his destination, you have decided that you are now the captain. You have decided that you've had enough and you want out. So subconsciously, like not even consciously, you have been itching your way through that man's life, playing captain, telling him what to do, how to do it, when to do it. And the captain has become soft, death by 1,000 knife stabs. He doesn't realize it. Being beta-ized, I can't even say it. There's a word for it. But the whole point is that he's becoming softer. He was a strong man when he got you on the boat. Then he fell in love with you. Then he started giving into your little whinings. Then he started compromising. And then you started losing respect because he was compromising. You were testing him all the time. You were testing him little by little by little, saying, will he put up with that? I'm gonna complain. I'm gonna complain. And when I complain, oh gosh, you leave the shoes outside all the time, man. All the time. You just dropped your towel on the floor of the bathroom. You're so dirty. I have to tell you 1,000,000 times to do the dishes. And instead of him reacting like a strong man and ignoring you or doing something else, like just walking away and doing something else, or just putting you in your place and saying, listen, he gives in and he does it. And you think, okay, at the moment he did it the first time, you were surprised because you thought you had a strong captain. Second time, you thought, oh, he's just being nice to you. The third time, he just wants peace. And you know that. He just wants peace. So for peace sake, he gave in. The 5th time, by the time you beta test him, the 5th time, by this point, you know for sure who's in charge. You are. You have now committed mutiny. It was a slow progression to mutiny. And to make it worse, if you have kids, you're actually been speaking to them too, complaining about the captain, saying how bad he is. Terrible captain over there. Terrible captain I got a terrible captain. Talking all kinds of nonsense about him all the time. Sisters, I'm talking to you because I love you, and this is just between me and you, so don't take offense, really. If it's really hitting your heart, it's because it's true. You know I'm talking the truth here, sis. Mutiny is a sin. Mutiny, because there's an order in the kingdom. There's an order of command. There's an order of submission. Most High, Yeshua, our Master, our King, our husband, our shepherd, the wife, and then the children, and the rest underneath her, right? Now, when we decide that we want to push the man out of his position and up ourselves higher, we are committing mutiny. We want to take over the captain's boat. It's his boat, not your boat. It doesn't matter if you think it is, it's not so. Feminism has told you you have a right to your own boat. In a way, they're right. You can do it. We're moving on, right? But it's not the biblical way. Not at all. It's not the biblical way of doing it, and it's also not a proper shelter. So, you're on his boat. The man owns the boat. He got it. You don't like it. To make it worse, he has decided to make a detour and stop at a beautiful island over there on the way north. Yeah, because he's actually a tradesman, and he trades and he makes some money selling things, and he's been getting more and more wealth, and he wants to grow his wealth. And he wants to exchange the boat for a bigger boat, so he's expanding. He's getting more cabins. While he's at it, other women out there say, wow, that's an awesome boat. I could see this yacht. Man, that's a massive yacht coming down the road. It has a beautiful woman on it, but it's a beautiful yacht. You're checking it out, and you're getting mad because they're checking out the boat with the captain. The same captain you were complaining about, right? The same captain that you were complaining about. As soon as he stops on and the women start lining up on shore like we all do, now you're getting really, really vexed. Because other women see what you don't see. They see his qualifications, and you have taken it for granted. He knows, biologically, he's a captain. Captains are allowed to hire crew. They can have more crew members on their boat. There is nothing in the Word of God and Scriptures against polygyny. Nothing against a man having more than one wife. We're not going to argue about that, like I said. Look it up, okay? We are going to study about this polygyny, more than one wife, in further studies. But we discussed it before. Biblically speaking, a man is allowed to have more than one wife. Abraham had more. David had more. Solomon had more. They are allowed. And the more successful and able they are to manage their household, to prove it, they are allowed. Now, in this example I gave you, however, this particular captain has been living with you. And this particular captain mutiny has been happening on his boat. Mutiny. So he's been losing status points because he's allowed this, right? So anyways, he stops on the shore, sees the women, he sees a young chick. A young, beautiful woman. This one here, yeah, she's probably 5 years younger than you. Same qualifications as you. Maybe less experienced because you've lived on the boat, right? So she's not experienced, but she's fresh. And he likes her, and he sees the position that he can put her in on that boat, and he wants to start a family with her too. He has space on his boat. He has space in his flock. He has room. And he's a good man. He's a good man. So he falls in love with this one, but she's still on shore. She's still there, right? And then he happens to come back on the boat without her, because he just visited the first time. And he tells you, or you find out, either way, you know about it. You know that he wants this other woman to hop on board. You know that he has eyes on this other woman to hop on board and to continue going north with her, because his life would be easier to have two, and he can afford to have two. Yeah? Whether or not he's totally qualified to have two because he's allowed your nonsense is the problem. Because when he mentions now, hey, by the way, there's this nice lady down the road and I love her too. I don't want to get rid of you. Like, I don't want you out of the boat. You've been doing a great job. I love the fact that you're raising our children. You take care of the boat. You know, I'm actually very content. I'm not very happy with you in all ways, but the majority, he's telling you, it's okay. I love you, and I'm still going to be your shelter. You're still good on the boat. Please continue doing what you're doing and improve. But you get mad. You don't want to improve. You don't want to improve because the spirit of mutiny has already been birthed in you. As soon as you heard another woman wants to be on this boat, you say, me? Me live with another woman? No, 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 sir. Me make room for another woman on my boat? No, and it's my boat. My boat. She's not allowed there. Never going to happen. And you kick this woman to the curb, you say, right? But she's not even on the boat yet, but you say. Never going to happen. And he says, well, I love her, so she's coming. And this is when it happens, the great, well, pack it all up. Pack it all up. You take your baggage. You hop off the boat. Some of you do this mutiny on the sea. And you hop on your little escape boat, you on the little dinghy. And you're like, the sea is so rough. But you jumped off a great boat. All because the captain wanted another crew member that he is biblically permitted to have. All because the captain looked at another crew member down there, which he's biblically allowed to have, as long as she is not on anybody else's boat, she's free. As long as the sheep does not belong to any other man, the sheep is free. Have you ever seen, sisters, a captain having only one crew member, a captain of a huge yacht? He needs a cook, a chef. He needs somebody to help him with the managing the boat all day long. He needs a crew. And the bigger the yacht, bigger the crew. Same thing with the shepherd. If he has a lot of land, he has acres and acres of land, he needs more sheep. He wants more sheep. You ever seen a shepherd that can afford to have more, only have one? And that is the problem. So we have become the women who commit mutiny. Mutiny on board. We jump ship. And when we're finished, we complain about it. And we have these sad stories, all one-sided, saying how bad the captain was, how bad the shepherd was. But we're the ones who left the shepherd. Left him on an unbiblical point. Now, you might not like it. I'm telling you the truth. It is unbiblical. We're going to talk about part 2 in just that one. Just sit with it a little bit. Sit with it just a little bit. Men, marriage, mutiny. Oh my gosh, sisters, so much to learn. Hebrew 101. Blessings.